Did you know you can make some fancy looking artwork just using a milk carton? Hi, I'm Jessica Russo Scherr. I'm an artist and art teacher, and I'm going to teach you how to make this all using a milk carton or any Tetra Pak carton. So today I'm going to show you how I did this print and all the steps that went into it. The first step is that you have to find a carton. I used one of these bio ones that is brown inside, but you can use the silver ones. And then you need an image. I do think architecture works very well given the structural quality of it. Transfer that image onto the Tetra Pak. Once you do that, you're going to use a stylus to carve into any of the areas that are black. If you've done any etching or dry point printmaking, this is a very similar technique. Use hatch and cross hatching. Basically any mark making technique where you can make a dent or slightly remove the material of the Tetra Pak. The darker you press or the harder you press, the darker those lines will be once we ink the surface. I decided to cut off the little pouring part because I figured that would ruin the print. And then I'm using a type of water-soluble printmaking ink. It is the same type of ink that you would use for dry point or etching. You could use an oil-based ink for that. I am using a scrap piece of mat board to kind of move the ink around and get it into all of the grooves. It moves quite quickly over this particular surface, so it's not terribly hard to do. I just am a little concerned at this point that I might be agitating some of the scratched areas a little too much, so I'm trying to adjust my pressure as I apply the ink. As soon as it's fully covered, I take a piece of tarlatan and I start working around the surface in a circular motion. I want to press the ink into all the nooks and crannies and grooves and kind of spread it out. And this is kind of interesting because there's a lot of plate tone with this particular material. And I'm thinking as I'm doing this, how I am going to use that to my advantage and sort of play around with not just black and white, but any tonal variations I can create. As I continue this process, I just try to work in the darker stuff into the darker areas and try to pull out from the lighter areas and get an even amount of plate tone over those areas that I want the plate tone to be. I'm curious to see how the particular grooves of the Tetra Pak milk carton will work to my advantage in this project. And I'm trying to see how much ink I want to have on them versus, if I just want it to be embossed into the paper. And I continue that for a few more minutes, and then I get to the point of really trying to clean the plate. I want to have, strong highlights and strong contrast in this print. So as much as I can with this particular material. So I'm really trying to scrub out the areas that I want to be much lighter. I use a cotton swab to really clean and highlight the areas of the dome and any area that I want to be a much purer white in this print. I do like this water-soluble aqua wash because it's really neat to work with your hands. It does sting your nails, but whatever. Soap and water takes care of most of it. Now, I do have a printing press, but I believe you can do this by using a baren or the back of a soup spoon on your plate to kind of burnish it into the paper. I am using handmade 100% rag printmaking paper that has been soaked in water and dried just a little bit, so it's just damp. After it goes through the roller, I lift the blanket and the scrap paper to see what happens. And I was really pleasantly surprised to see the level of embossing that the Tetra Pak did on the paper. And overall, I think it was a pretty interesting experiment. I'm definitely going to do a lot more of these. I'm also going to compare how the silver Tetra Pak works compared to this. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them, or if there's a tutorial you would like to see.